So welcome, welcome, welcome. This is just a quick live to talk about the Esoteric Book Club, with Recall being the first book. Again, I'm proud to say that TikTok banned my book from me ever able to sell the book on TikTok shop or my shop or whatever, for whatever reason. They never gave me a reason, but you know how they ban shit with no reason. So it's always good when a book is being banned. It's a sign that there's content that's offensive and triggering, and that's usually a good sign in my view. So if you want to join our Esoteric Book Club, you go on my Telegram page on my link tree, which is on my profile. Scroll down, you'll see Starseed's Awakening. Go ahead and join that. Ask me about the Esoteric Book Club, and I'll add you to that. We're having our first session on February 13th, which is Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern, which is 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we are going to do Recall as the first book. After that, we'll be exploring things. Most likely books with Louise Hay. There's a particular book I'm thinking of. Cindy. Oh my God, what is her last name? Shit, I forgot her last name. Cindy, but she's the chakra queen. She wrote a book. She's written many, many books on the nuances of chakras. And I think it's very interesting to do some of her books about body image and how that impacts, how you can work on your chakras to work on healing that, which I'm working on myself. Because grief shows itself in many ways through the body, as you know, from the big C to being overweight, to being underweight, to having hormonal issues and illness and immunity issues, grief and lack of self-worth and stress, it can do its damage. So, but the first book, and I'm not ashamed to say at all that I'm promoting my first book to do this. And I've kind of let the book fall asleep for many years, okay? It was first published by a small press that got gobbled up by Goliath, the Goliaths of press publishing, of Ingram Sparks, of Amazon, and things of that nature. It is available for sale for $11.11. And again, like I said, TikTok shop banned me within the first week of the book coming out on TikTok for whatever reason. And this book is for adults. It is not for, it's not a spicy book. It's an erotic book. I hate that word spicy. What the fuck does that mean? It's an erotic book for fucking grown-ass women that understand what their twin flame means. They want to understand why the sexual connection, the chemistry is so intense. They want to know why, what is blocking their union in this incarnation. They want to know what are some scars that are still reverberating 3,000 years ago. And in this case, it's a book about, and it's actually based on my own experience. Okay, it's what I call a creative nonfiction. And it feels very fictional, and yet it feels very, it's raw. It's a raw fucking book. And it goes back to 3,500 years ago in Mesopotamia with a conqueror, with a queen, it starts out with a simple AOL message, do you believe in reincarnation, where Kat meets Malik. And Malik is the man she is destined to marry, and then here comes a conqueror foretold by an oracle. It is violent, it is raw, it is evocative. It will, because of the way it's written, the format is chapter 1 is current life, chapter 2 is past life, chapter 3 is current life, chapter 4 is past life. In other words, your brain is going back and forth between the present and the past, and the present and the past. And I'm getting much more forceful about self-promoting the book because it's fucking good. I'm not saying that because I'm saying that. I'm saying that because too many people have told me it's good. And it's actually elicited their ability to remember their own past lives and having dreams. And believe me, it's not the great American novel. Trust me, okay? It is not that in any way. It's not For Whom the Bell Tolls. It is not The Bridges of San Luis Rey. It is not Catch-22. It's not. But it is evocative of these nuclei of past memories that are still haunting you, and yet you can't articulate them. And suddenly the formatting of the book is the key, I believe, because it made no sense to me that so many people will come to me going, holy fuck, I'm starting to remember my own past lives. So it opens a door. That's why I'm starting to promote it. Because before it was like, like I wrote the book Songs of Solomon, which is a book based, it was actually a pillow book. It is still out there for sale, but it's called Songs of Solomon, a pillow book for breast cancer survivors and their lovers. It was supposed to be a Kama Sutra for lovers, okay? Using the Songs of Solomon as poetry, which I think is beautiful. It's probably one of the most incredible, loving poems ever. It's a series of work in the Bible. It's actually in the Bible. And it is so pure, and no one to this day knows who actually wrote those beautiful words of love. So that came to me in a dream to actually do this pillow book, combining it with Songs of Solomon, hence the title. However, what I'm going to say to you is there is something about us launching with this book, because I kept thinking, because I'm always trying to be humble and trying and working on that, because it is one of the issues that I've had in past lives is arrogance. And I'm sure if you're honest with yourself, you've had that problem too. And I work on myself. And I'm going to prove TF are narcissists and you are the victim. It's a lot more complex than that. It's not a t-shirt, to say that all TF are narcissists is you're missing the fucking point. No offense, okay? I mean, I'm good with letting you, I don't know why the comment was banned, but I opened it so you guys can read it, because I don't give a shit what people say about narcissists. You might not be with a narcissist. You might be with a narcissist. You might not be with a twin flame. You might be with a twin flame. I don't know, but I'll tell you one thing I do know, and this I know for a fact. If you are in a narcissistic relationship with a lover, TF or not, you better look at your parents and figure out which one fucked you up so badly that you're still attracted to that dynamic. Just being honest. Just food for thought. Think about that one. Because one of your parents created that, trust me. One of them gave you the beginnings of a seed to be attracted to that energy. And that's not to victimize the victim. It's to say, look at that so you can heal from that. So you can actually let go of that, okay? Because what happens typically, and this is because I've studied some of the best narcissist therapists on the fucking planet, one being Sam Vakin, who has a triple PhD, who is a self-proclaimed malignant narcissist. You can't get better than him. And, oh my God, I forgot the other guy, Graham something, who actually has been who for a while they were interviewing each other. And he's brilliant. He's Australian. He's got blonde hair. He's well built. He's a powerhouse, and he's written books on the subject as well. He does talks, and those two guys know what the fuck they're talking about. And one of the things that comes out of narcissism, since we're going to talk about that, since everyone claims that TFs are narcissists, well, let me just tell you something. We as a culture in the Western world are, and all over the world, we have a lot of problem with narcissism, from massively malignant to someone in the shadows of borderline and so on, because of traumas that have happened throughout our generations. So none of us are walking on water unscathed. And what happens with narcissistic family dynamics, or caused by the environment that creates this, is that one of the children will become an empath, psychic empath. And it's due to survival and so forth. So they hone that sixth sense. And one other child might become a narcissist. And to the level of narcissism could be from, I'm going to say benign, right? I'm going to say that, to all the way to malignant. So there's definitely a grading system here. And that's not unusual either in family dynamics, where you think that your brother is going to be there for you forever, and you'll be, it's going to be family bonding and bloodline, and yes, family always. And suddenly, as your brother gets older, or sister, you're shocked to realize, oh my God, my brother, sister, whatever, is a fucking narcissist. And I mean like full on, it's ugly, okay? And that can be very, very heartbreaking, because you're like maybe in your 30s, 40s, realizing the hit, and it's a massive hit. And at that point, depending on what happens to your dynamic, you might want to do no contact forever. forever. Or you try to figure out if you can still keep him in your life with massive boundaries. I don't know. Your journey is up to you. But I can tell you one thing. There's always a foundational reason why we get attracted to narcissists. Okay, just so you know, it's not, oh, my parents were really good parents. No, go back and start doing some research. Okay, look at what happened, because it didn't come out of nowhere. Going back to the book, so this live is really about promoting the Esoteric Book Club. Back in 2023, I was asking people to create an Esoteric Book Club. This is when I had the Discord, which, to be honest with you, I've never put it back up because it was a dead zone. And I've looked at other Discords where I see on the Twin Flame Journey, there's another one that have over 1,000 people, and it's a fucking dead zone. I'm like, whereas we have a group that started in WhatsApp and we migrated over to Telegram, and it is fucking constantly moving with dialogue, links, shares. What do you think? People are getting triggered. It's fucking fun. It's great because we're all learning from each other. We're all pushing each other's buttons in a good way, in a way that creates growth, to new perceptions, to calling ourselves out, to saying, wait, hang on, why did I believe this was true when it's not? We're talking about politics. So if you're not into politics and you don't think that's part of the Twin Flame journey, you are not a fucking Twin Flame that's ready to be in the dialogue of Ascension. Straight up, I'm calling you out. Because politics, social systems, infrastructure systems are all part of the reason why your twin is running from you. Trust me. Trust me. Because if survival is the only thing this man, we're going to talk about men now, can wrap his head around, right? And if he actually judges himself against billionaires, millionaires, if he feels like a failure because at the age of 14 he thought he'd be rich, okay? And now he's realizing that he's going to be working 9 to 5, yeah. And he wanted to do it, I'm going to say it, the legal way, okay, of being rich, the legal way of being rich, right? And then he's watching movies about Scarface and shit like that. You got yourself a problem. You're going to get an addict because the addiction is going to grow to soften the edges of his 9 to 5 dead-end job. Watch the movie. What the fuck is it called? Hang on. With Angelina Jolie. It's called... Wanted. Yeah, it's called Wanted. Watch that fucking movie. Holy fuck. What? Do you know why I keep telling you about movies? In college, when I was in university also, I would have teachers, professors say, blah, 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 watch this movie. And we'd have to do a report on it. And I realized how fast we could learn certain things by watching a movie and like literally deconstructing the movie. This is why we're doing the Esoteric Book Club. Because the Esoteric Book Club is about spirituality, ascension, Dr. Joe Dispenza, reprogramming the mind, things of that nature. But before we start this incredible journey that we're launching in 2025 in throwing books on the table going, okay, here's 3 books. Which one do you want to get next? I'm going to start out with the Twin Flame journey because most of you are women. In fact, I'd say that 100% of you going to Esoteric Book Club are women. Are men welcome? Fuck yes. Please join. But know that this book is a chick book. I'm not going to fucking sugarcoat it. So you may want to put your feminine hat on and get your shit together and read the book from a feminine perspective, because remember, you were a female as well in many incarnations, so you can understand the dynamics, okay, of the female perspective in the ancient world and how women of some level of power use their sexuality to manipulate, to control, to direct traffic for their own, and quite often they fail, to be honest. Cleopatra is a great fucking example, probably the most famous example ever. There were mistresses in France that actually ran the kingdom of, for example, in France and other parts of like England. There were mistresses that were involved in the shadows. They used their sexuality to influence these men of power. And there were concubines that did it as well. So it's not like Aspasia being one of the famous ones in Greece, and she influenced Pericles, one of the great statesmen. So my point is, if you're going to join us as a masculine, you're welcome, because after this book, it's all esoteric stuff. But I wanted to talk about the twin flame dynamics because this is how we all have originally met. And not to talk about the twin flame, to launch into these esoteric books, to launch into breaking down the things that are preventing us from understanding complex, or what we feel are complex, esoteric ideas on reality, on how we've been incarnated on other planets. Why is that so hard for people to do? Because it scares the shit out of them, because it's the unknown realms. And so in the books that we're going to be choosing, we're going to actually deconstruct orthodox teachings through books like, for example, the Gnostic Gospel by Elaine Pagel, 148 pages, if I'm correct, thereabouts. It's a quick book. We'll be done in like fucking probably 4 weeks. I'm not joking, or 3. We're going to be deconstructing reality and the holographic universe and how to manifest, and why many people do not they're not successful in manifesting. And that's with the book Mind Power into the 21st Century. As to when we read it, it's a vote. It's a vote. You'll be voting on it, and majority wins. And we need to get more and more quick about voting. Like, if you don't vote, if I don't see people voting, I'll fucking vote for it. Because that is going to be important. We'll remove the energy forward at a pace that has some urgency, because 2025 is 9, and it's a co-creative number with the universe. And we need to, within the first 6 months of this year, know our shit, take fucking no prisoners, and fucking out to win, to shift the energy from 3D into 5D. And that takes knowledge. It takes understanding different thought forms, how people think and why they think that way, limitations, smashing the limitations for the greater good, and things of that nature, if you get my drift. Any questions or comments? So that's where I'm coming from, okay? So for almost 2 years, I waited for someone to do it. No one's done it, which is not, oh, I'm here to save the day. I'm just saying that people keep talking about, I want community, I want community. Well, my dears, that's how it starts. Community starts with using social media to meet people. Then you start setting up groups to talk. Then in those talks comes ideas, incredible ideas, transcendental ideas, life-breaking ideas of how to create communities. And actually going, oh my God, you live in London? I live in Cornwall. Oh my God, you live in the United Kingdom. So do I. And making connections and growing the group exponentially for the greater good of other people who eventually down the line will meet you and finally walk through a hall or a meeting group or something physically. See, that's my goal. I want you guys to physically create groups, but first we have to use the internet to that end. We need to literally put you guys together. Does that make sense? That's why I'm doing it. So it's going to meet. I was going to be soft and go, oh, we'll meet, every 2 weeks. No, fuck, we're meeting every week. We're going to meet every week, every blue moon. I probably won't make it. You won't make it. And that's okay. That's fucking okay. However, you need to be aware that I'm expecting all of us to do at least 3 chapters per week. That puts you on the line. There will be homework. You're going to be talking to amazing healers, all of them in their own right, amazing high priestesses. And if you're in the journey of being a healing facilitator, or you want to start your heart-centered business, or you work a 9 to 5 in the government, or you're working as a litigator, a physician, or whatever, you're doing your healing work already. Trust me on that one. You're doing it, but we need to try to start changing the way people perceive these, what they call 3D jobs or 3D careers, into, for example, somebody who makes millions as a stockbroker, right? And changing that dynamic, not to stop them from making money, don't get me wrong, but to have them understand that, it's not a bad idea to perhaps take a cause that is to their heart. A cause could be to help dogs from being euthanized, and to create a grant to rescue facilities, to also perhaps help with literacy in our country. We have a fucking problem here, okay? People read, but they don't comprehend what they've read. I can tell. It's shocking. And the monkey mind, is so fraught with survival, okay, that it turns into a reptilian sector in the brain. I can't give you the nuances and the breakdowns like Dr. Joe Dispenza can in his show on Gaia.com. I'm trying to remember the show's name, but you'll see it. It's Not Becoming Supernatural. That's another show. It's the other one where he's like 15 years younger. Watch that show on the brain. You'll see he'll talk about the pineal gland, and how the brain is broken down into sectors. The reptilian mind is always going to surface when you're in survival mode. What does that mean? It means that if we're talking about ascension, the reptilian mind can't get to it. It will not understand what you're saying because it is so immersed in survival. It's not your fault. If you don't understand my videos, it actually isn't your fault. You need to keep listening to my videos because there are people who are, and this is not to put you down or to fucking triangulate you. We're not comparing you, but I need to compare so you understand. People who are spiritually aligned, okay, will listen to my videos and go, holy fuck, yes. People who are confused are probably in survival mode, or they're going through a massive clinical depression and they're not even aware of it because it's kind of like having walking pneumonia. Have you ever heard of people saying you had walking pneumonia? What does it mean? It means you probably have double pneumonia. You're probably walking around doing what you're supposed to do. You feel like shit. You have no energy, but you're still going to work. Okay. Walking pneumonia. Okay. So you're having walking depression, meaning you are able to do on an automatic pilot. You switch a switch, you pull, you flip the switch and you're able to fucking drive your car, go to work, and you're fucking up. You're making mistakes. I just had a session with a client where I had to coach her last night at around fucking 10 o'clock at night, telling her this is what you need to do. You need to have a planner. You need to have the alarm clock on your phone that reminds you that you can't, you gotta, because when you're going through depression, your mind convinces you that you won't forget, and you fucking will. Okay. And this is putting her job in jeopardy. So there's a point where you can still do what you need to do, and you're still going to make mistakes because you are not taking care of you're not being honest about your capabilities and your Achilles heel. And so you got to organize yourself or else you're going to fuck up. Okay. And it's okay. It's okay. But once you know that you're fucking up, you need to realize that your method isn't working. Meanwhile, you got to go deeper into your healing. And cynicism, excuse me, I had a little nut in my throat. Cynicism is not going to help you in this journey. So the Esoteric Book Club that we are forming, we've already formed it. The first class is Friday the 13th, Thursday the 13th. Not that I have any problems with Friday the 13th. I actually love that day. It's usually my lucky day. But anyway, moving back. Thursday the 13th at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard, which should give everyone plenty of time to read the book, to order the book. The link is on my link tree. And many of the other books that I have, you can actually go ahead and order it. Like, for example, some of the books, like let's say we decide to all read Becoming Supernatural. Let's just say to deconstruct it, to understand it in every aspect of its nuances, right? From different points of view, which is exciting. Quite often you can get that book for $4.95 on eBay, free shipping. Okay? So please don't even plan on going to the library. Buy those books. Create your esoteric library. Okay? Daniel Steele and writers like that are fine, but there's a point. It's kind of like people who play video games to escape the reality of this planet. Let's be honest. And they'd rather be on their video games than being in reality. And if that's you, then it's time for you to break out of the matrix, because video games is the matrix, my friend. Addictions come in many forms. That's the matrix. So what we need to do is get you out of the matrix, educating yourself, understanding these very high ideals on how to get out of the wheel of Dharma, okay? Into a new wheel of Dharma, meaning in 5D or another planet. It's a reality where you're no longer a match to 3D, where if you drop your body or you actually can ascend in this physical body that you have, you've heard of ascension symptoms. It's a real fucking thing. It's preparing you to ascend in this incarnation throughout the whole journey, this journey we're all going through. Some of us will drop our bodies before we come to the full, what is the word? Where the final bridge to 5D is on this planet. Some of us will not get to see it in physical form. However, our final transition in dropping our bodies will bring us to 5D and no longer being a match to 3D matrix, Brave New World bullshit. Okay? So, any questions or comments? Any questions on how to join the Esoteric Book Club? Does anybody have any questions? All right. Thank you for liking the live. I really appreciate it. Any other questions or comments? Okay. So, let me see here. Any questions or comments? Okay. So it's going to be a while. I need a couple, thank you. So thank you, Julius Dog Rescue and Kennel. Feel free to check out his videos. He's in, I believe, Uganda, and he helps with dog rescue. Not that kind of life, Ashley. Read the room. Read the room, my love. If you want to find out if so-and-so is going to do so-and-so, book a reading with me, okay? And book a reading, because that's not how I do it here. I don't do those kinds of readings at all. I do them one-on-one, because when people do readings like that online, I'm just going to call people. I don't give a shit anymore. It's not okay. You need to make sure that when you do reading, like when I do a collective reading, it's a collective reading. Like, that's it. If it fits, great. If the shoe fits, great. If it doesn't, don't be like Cinderella's stepsisters and trying to make your foot fit in a shoe that's not your size. So it will help you deal with disappointments when somebody tells you, oh, yes, he's coming back. Yes, I see it. He's very much involved with you, or whatever the hell they're saying. It could even be negative. Oh, no, he's never coming back. He's not your twin. You need to do and invest. I'm sorry. If you wanted to go to a plastic surgeon, you would not go to a person who's still learning. I would hope. You would go to someone who's top tier, right? Well, it's no different than getting your teeth cleaned or getting your car fixed. You go to a top tier person. And so, if you want a reading with me or someone like me that actually seriously only does collective readings and will not answer your question personally, then you should do that. Get into the habit of that, because a $5 yes, no, or $25 pre-recorded reading, and again, red flag to me, wait, hang on, you're going to know my name, the date of birth, and then my person's name and date of birth, and you're going to give me a pre-recorded message that might be accurate, may not be accurate. People will make shit fit because they want it to fit. And if it's always a Cinderella story, I hate to say that, but that's not life. If life was a Cinderella story, you and I and others like us would not be looking to get out of the matrix. Hello. So when people, because life is nuanced, there's good news and there's bad news. And the bad news is, well, how do I deflect that? Well, you can do X, Y, Z. And I see that that's possible. Or, no, that's it. You're fated for that. That needs to happen. What's an example of bad news that is fated to happen? Someone's death. Someone who there's going to be a massive change. Or you're asking a question, can I leave the country? The answer is no. There's still karma binding you to a country. For example, am I going to move out of this apartment building? The answer is no. Why? Well, because there's still some things you need to work out. You're fighting the noose around your neck when there is no noose, or a job or a boss. You need to release that. And then when you release this feeling of frustration and powerlessness, once you realize you're powerful, you will be released from a toxic job. So, like things like that. And it can't be done on a live at all. And what I've just given you is pretty much, you know what I mean? It is what it is. So I'm just being honest with you on that end. Yeah, you're right. Thank you for your input. I appreciate you. Thank you for being so gracious in receiving that, message, because it's important. So the Esoteric Book Club starts with recall. I wrote the book, and we will be going through, we're committing to a whole year. And what I'm hoping to see is hopefully people who are in the same states, my God, it could be insane, like the same states, the same country. I'm hoping to get some people from Britain. We'll change the times here and there. We'll change the day here and there to accommodate certain people and to make sure that they're coming in. What else should I say? I'm not sure if we're going to record these sessions or not. If we did record them, they go on YouTube, private link only, not to be shared with anyone else. The group is free. The group talks about, like I said, everything. And we are going to be clearing our minds to channel new information. We will be, I just feel like we need this. It's funny, I just got a scene of people knitting together, women, and I just saw quilt makers. I don't know if you've ever seen or studied or studied, but just seen little snippets on quilt makers and how these women would gather with patches of material and calico and this and that, and they would be on this table and they would all be sitting on chairs talking simple life moments. And we've come a long way from that. Talking about the cow that can't milk anymore, talking about the neighbor who his wife has just died, talking about, this, that, and the other. And I talking about God, because they would have been Christian women. I'm thinking about that. I'm talking about American women in the 1800s. And how lucky are we that we can really talk about the most expansive shit that we have never been able to talk about freely or safely in the last 2,000 years. That was, as women, we were not allowed to learn how to read. We were not allowed to think. We were not allowed to go outside the spectrum to go, well, I don't understand. Why did Mary Magdalena, why did she see Jesus if she was a sinner? Why did she see him first when he came out of the grotto, the cave, right? Why her and not the 12 apostles? Which, by the way, why is this important? Well, because it shows me, and it should show you, the incredible oppression of the female voice. And when they couldn't do it in that way, they would accuse us of witchcraft. And you know what happened then. So for the men who think, well, I'm too masculine for this, you were probably a woman that was burned at the stake. So maybe you should think again and bring yourself to the table on this esoteric book club, because most of the men, most of the writers, and I'm going to say unfortunately, not in a bad way, are fucking men. Okay? Andrew Weil, Deepak Chopra, Rudy Stanza, Michael Singer, Micheal Newton, Joe Dispenza. And when I riddle off the names of women, it's a short fucking list. It's a short list, okay? And I don't know why that's true, but it's true. So, as a man, if you're really on this journey, then you know that we are androgynous souls, and we've made love to men and women throughout these incarnations. So you're not manly by not joining, this group. You're manly, and you're in your masculine power, and you become a divine masculine when you join the group. And if you're the only man, because that's how I'm seeing that a lot, it's a problem. Okay? A lot of men are claiming they want to heal, and they are not joining co-ed groups. And I don't know why. And so it's turning into a feminine group, not because I want it that way, but because it just is. Because you guys all want to stay in your little cave and just, think about shit, instead of realizing that the best way to heal is to think of other people's thoughts who will break the chain of your rumination and looping thoughts in the concept of realities and your own self-worth. Okay? Rumination is destructive. That's why you let other thoughts come in and break into your silence, if you will, to kind of like initiate a breakdown to your toxic thoughts. Some of them are toxic, some of them are beautiful, and creating new patterns of thought for the greater good of yourself. And of course, this will impact the feminine. Any other questions or comments? Let's see real quick. Sorry about my chicken, my rooster. I'd love to embrace more men into the group. So would I. It's not like they've not been invited. Trust me. But they won't step up. They won't step up. And I don't know why. I don't know what they think this is, but they won't do it. I can't answer. I wish I could answer the question. I think the damage, and again, you're probably going to get very triggered, but I don't care. I'm going to say it straight up, is I have to address the fact that the men out there in the world, your generation, my generation, I think my twins' generation was the last generation possibly with an intact marriage. It was intact, but it was toxic as fuck, the marriage of his parents. It was totally toxic. And my husband, the father of my son, he was 10 when his father walked out of the door for another woman, and everyone knew it, okay? And again, we have to blame women who, straight up, yes, I'm going to blame men who cheat, but I'm also going to blame women because I'm a psychic. I do tarot reading, I do psychic work, and I get women. When I used to work for Psychic Source, I can't tell you how many women would come up, the kind of women you and I would never fucking hang out with, who would actually go after married men like their life depended on it. It was a flex, and they did it a lot. And they wanted to win that fucking gold ring. Yeah, the marriage ring. For just pure ego, desire, lust. Certainly not love. Certainly, oh, it's my twin flame. No. I never heard that. I swear to God, I never heard that. Not in Psychic Source. I hear that with my personal clients who I vet out to myself. Okay? But if I hear a woman who wants to do that, I don't take her on as a client. I'm not interested at all. However, I do have clients where they first met and they married other people, and there's that tension of, this is my twin flame, what the fuck? Oh my God, when we're married to different people, or we're committed to different people, and one of us or both of us have children, now what do? I've heard, and I have no problems with that, because it's a different dynamic. It's not based on, I want to win him, I just want him, it'd be fun to fuck around with him. It's not the same thing. Does that make sense? I hope it does. If it doesn't, I don't know what else to say. It's probably me. I'm not explaining it correctly. But certainly, I hope you understand. So, there's a lot to talk about in these esoteric, in this esoteric book club. The masculine is been raised by single mothers who are angry at the husbands, their father, angry, okay? And puts down their father constantly. Is it warranted sometimes? Fucking A. But trust me, a toxic parent will be outed. Kids aren't stupid. And they will eventually find out on their own that their father's fucked up. Trust me. You don't have to fucking keep hammering that into your kid. That's in fact, it's not a good idea, because you're damaging your kid. Number one. Number two, your kid, in fact, when they don't want to be with their father, at the age of 5, 6, they'll say, I don't want to be with daddy. And what I find interesting is that women who have some integrity, who are very afraid of alienating their kids, will force their kids to be with that parent instead of finding out through a therapist, maybe, a really good child therapist, why this is happening. And I'm not insinuating anything weird, but why is it that they don't want to be with their father? And that needs to be really looked at. Hopefully you can do it safely, because the other thing that's a problem with single mothers and parents who are divorcing and so forth, or together, is the Child Protective Services sword over your head. There's that too. There's a lot of fears in our current infrastructure. There should be protection where it is valid protection. But we have a system that is not fairly protected. Kids have taken kids away from parents, and they were amazing parents, amazing. And they have left kids with people, foster parents and others, who were incredibly abusive. And there was no fucking reason for that, except slovenly work. And that's why so many good people in these types of state jobs and what have you, social workers, actually quit after the first 5 years of their career. They quit. They can't fucking look at the bullshit. It's too much bullshit. So there's a lot of nuance. So that's why when you have a community of women who you can trust, they're all high priestesses and goddesses. They're all powerhouses. And men. We're hoping for men. High priests and gods. Kings. When you create a community like that, you can go to that community and you know you're safe, because everything that stays in fucking Las Vegas stays there. You don't start talking about it outside the group. That is an agreement that I'm going to ask you to understand. When you, and I'm going to type it up on the Esoteric Book Club, and so that you guys feel safe. Whatever is said there that might be personal, you leave it there. You don't gossip about it. You don't talk about it. You don't talk about it to your spouse. You keep it right there in the group. That is actually something I'm going to ask you to do. I used to do it with my group when I used to do circles, womb healing circles up in California, and they all had to sign a release form. When you join the group, you will know that you're agreeing to that agreement, and I'm going to make sure it's pinned to the top of the comments. And when you come in, that's the agreement. You're making a pact with all your sisters and brothers, if we have brothers. Right now there's none, but that's the pact we're making. Okay, with each other. We're not here to gossip. We're not here to talk shit about each other behind. If you have a problem with what somebody says about how they raise their kid or whatever, fucking say it privately if you want, of course, to them, or to the group. And then we'll hash it out, we'll work it out. That's what communities used to do. You think they got along with everything that happened? No. When you had these little Scottish villages of 300 people or 100 people or even fucking 50 people, whether it was in Switzerland, Scotland, China, Japan, they had problems. They ran into problems and they worked it out. They had to, because they lived together. They had to work together, hunt together, gather together, harvest together. Okay? So they worked it out. So that's what we need to learn how to do. We have to relearn how to be part of a community, because we've lost the skill set. Trust me. I know this because people were losing their shit. You voted for Trump. I'll never speak to you again. You voted for Kamala. You're a traitor. You voted for Jill Stein. You idiot. That's what I heard. That's insane. And to break apart family units because somebody voted for someone else. Clearly, we don't know how to act. We don't know how to act like a community, like a family. It is none of our fucking business if someone is voting for someone else. It's actually none of our business to bully someone into voting our way. What it is our business is to understand why. And to explain to them why you're opposing it. We have to agree to disagree with civility, with respect. And clearly we haven't learned that. Because the shit show I'm seeing is fucking, actually it's toxic narcissism. It's actually blackmailing. It's insane. And that's why I don't have that many viewers, because to be on my life, because I don't say what people want to hear. I just don't. Okay? I just don't. There are some people where they don't want to talk about it and they will not budge. They don't want to hear it or they'll start a fight, quote unquote. And I can tell you that if they continue that, you don't have to worry. You won't be speaking. I don't care if it's your aunt, your uncle, your brother, your sister, whoever. Eventually the relationship will fall apart and skid into the horizon of nowhere. And you will no longer be in communication with them on its own merit but you don't announce it. You let it fall apart on its own, because at least you're trying to understand their point of view. But if they are so fucking hell-bent on being toxic and insane, trust me, you won't be talking to them anyway. Probably forever. I'm not joking. Or maybe 10 years from now, 5, I don't know, whenever. And you will create a community of people who are not like-minded in structures of that level, but they will be like-minded in the one goal, and that's the only thing that matters in my book, 5D New Earth. That's it. And what does it mean, and why is this important, and how will it play out? And are 3D greedy billionaires a match to 5D abundance for all? Well, clearly not. Hello? It's not a match. Just like I don't hang out with diehard Christians or diehard any religion. I do not hang out with them. Why? Well, because they're fucking stuck in a cemented box. And I'm talking about all Orthodox religions. If people are hell-bent on that religion, I have nothing to talk about. What am I going to talk about? What do we have in nothing? They are actually assuring me that this is their God and the only God. And I'm like, okay, well, I mean, enjoy that and have a good life. At least you love something beyond yourself. That's a good news. That the glass is half full. But I can't continue having a conversation. And I don't hang out with people like that. Clearly, that's why when I get exposed to people like that, it's a culture shock. Trust me. Because I'm used to talking about spirituality, esoteric ideas, concepts, reality, manifestation, heartbreak, soul connection, soul contracts, and so on. All the things that you're interested in. So that's why I can relate to you, and hopefully you feel the same. But ultimately, thank you, Rachel. Most of the population is acting extremely narcissistic. Well, because of the trauma. There's a collective trauma. Let me. I love that idea. Let me bring something to your attention. Okay. Let me just bring something to your attention. Now you must understand. You had parents who had children in the I'm going to start with the late 1970s, because that's when women were allowed to actually get a mortgage and a credit card in America. We're going to talk about America. And suddenly you had what they call latchkey kids that never saw their parents. Many, many women started experiencing the onslaught of divorce, 1972 and so forth. And earlier than that, of course, but in the 70s is when it started. So the concept of families falling apart, right? And father being MIA, right? Not paying child support, right? Most women did not have the money. They could barely survive, much less get an attorney to enforce child support. So the father was MIA, right? And so now you have Gen Xers who are the production of that reality. And so when you tell me, well, you know, a lot of people are narcissistic. Well, you know, when your mom is not around and she's working 2 jobs to make ends meet, and you have to bring yourself to school and home and do your own homework, and you're failing in school, and or you're doing well, you're like an overachiever because, you know, you're the golden child, and you have to make your own dinner. And you might see your mom at night, if at all, for 1 hour. No conversations really except I love you. And maybe a weekend here and there spending, you know, cuddle time with your mom, and the TV set is your babysitter. And then you grow up into teenagehood, and other people's influences are now becoming more powerful than your own mother. And you deal with abuse because predators know, and this is known now, that they always look for single mothers and situations like that to become predators and to go after their prey. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And so, of course, you're going to have a narcissist. Hello. What you do you think? Because when women lost their men in battle when they lived in villages, aka communities, the man would die in battle, and she would have an extended family. The grandfather, the grandmother, the cousins, the this, the that. Was there still some weird shit going on? Probably. But was the kid enclosed in a community like the Native Americans, the Europeans, the Asians? Yeah. There would be an extended community, a protection of some sort, right? Whereas in this situation today, people are bereft. They're like, they'll move in with their man, they'll have a baby, they move to Idaho, wherever, and the family's in, I don't know, Florida, right? And there's and they don't get along with their mother or father or both. So they have no support. Nothing is there. So why wouldn't we have a generation of narcissists? Come on now. From benign narcissism, which means, I take care of myself. I don't trust anyone. I love you and I mean it for now, but then I won't mean it next week or next month, right? To the malignant narcissist, the love bombing, the triangulation, the gaslighting, and worse, okay? I'm just giving you. So do you understand? It took a couple of generations to grow this problem. Is it a real problem? Yes, but it's based on infrastructure. Don't fucking mistake it. Because there was no support. No government support. And I mentioned in my last live yesterday, you'll see it, it's on YouTube right now. Go listen to it. It's fucking, in my opinion, a good live. Because it was about AI, DeepSeek, and ChatGPT. And it was about also some of these other concerns. But I'm going way farther. This is the kind of shit we're going to talk about in the Esoteric Book Club. Based on books like Becoming Supernatural. One of the stories in Becoming Supernatural is she's married to a man. She's taking a shower. He kisses her. It's a Saturday morning. He kisses her goodbye. She's taking the shower. So, a beautiful last intimate kiss. And then the children are playing in the living room. And like in the afternoon, she gets a knock on the door. Turns out her husband took his own life. And there starts the story of how she developed all kinds of tumors all over her fucking body. We have to talk about that. What would create a man, right? What kind of infrastructure or system in place would create a man to literally kiss her in the shower, kiss his kids goodbye, and never come back? I remember working in an office job where one man actually took his life in his car in the parking lot in the morning. He could not go back in, apparently. And I'm sure there was a lot of other things. Why is this important? Well, because you guys are all running around going, why is my twin flame running? Well, there you go. The infrastructure is not supportive. We have no communities. Do you understand? We have no communities. And you guys are overscheduling your fucking kids to ballet recitals, to fucking hockey games, soccer games, baseball. It fucking never ends. It never ends. Do you think Native Americans were doing that? Do you think the old Celts were doing that? The old Gauls? What do you think they were doing? They were planting harvest together with their children on their backs. They were constantly in communication with their kids. And kids love to do shit with nature. And people are disconnected from their kid. They think they're doing right by the kid. They're not. They're fucking not. You don't even know your kid. You don't. What's your kid's favorite color? Does your kid have a favorite tree? Does the kid even have a favorite tree? Is it that bad that the kid doesn't even have a favorite tree? That's pretty bad. I kid you not. Because it doesn't matter if the tree is in a park. You think it's mundane what I'm saying. It's actually what is the difference between creating a union with your child that continues into adulthood or not. That's why you have so much alienating parents going on these lives going, I don't know what I did wrong. Well, chick, did you ever talk to your kid? Hey, daddy, where were you? Did you fight for your kid? Because there are parents out there that fight to be with their sons or daughters, and they're prevented by toxic females. And you know it. We women are not fucking all pure as the driven snow. Many of us have a lot of toxic trait, narcissistic trait, punishment. You cheated on me. You left me for another woman, and thus you will never have a relationship with your children. Instead of saying to the kids who are probably 5 and 6, look, daddy loves you. Me and daddy will always love you. And that's the only fucking conversation the kid needs to hear. You don't think the kid's not going to figure it out eventually at 10, 15, going, what the fuck, dad? You mean you left mom for her? Or why did you do that? What happened? I want to fucking know. You don't think these young kids aren't going to ask hard questions eventually? Don't worry. The damage of any fuckery will... There's an old saying that Malcolm X talked about regarding other things, but I'm going to use it in this context. The chickens will come to roost. Trust me. You don't have to fucking beat up the character of your ex-person. You don't. Time will give its own weight in karma. Okay? Your job is to make sure that they are loved and they know it's not their fault and that they did nothing wrong. That the fighting and screaming or whatever led to the end of the marriage or whatever was dealing with you and them. You had problems with, let's be honest, before you had a kid, you already had problems. Trust me. There's no way you didn't know. And you thought, many people do, well, I'm thinking if I had a baby, it would, can you fucking believe people actually believe this shit? If I have a baby, it should bond us more. No, actually, you better fucking work on your relationship because no baby on the planet is going to make this better unless you work on it. And then maybe you'll come to the realization, oh my God, we're fucked. This relationship's fucked. I got to get out of here. Fuck it. And we all make that, trust me, we all make that mistake, but we have to be honest about how we went wrong so that we can forgive ourselves and forgive the person who we experienced this with. So the Esoteric Book Club is going to be questioning a lot of things, like that story I just talked about in becoming supernatural, rereading it with new transcendental eyes, going, what the fuck? Why do you think how could he... Can you imagine the mindfuck of that woman taking a shower, getting the kiss goodbye the last kiss goodbye, and getting 2 cops at her door, knocking on her door, letting her know that it's over because he took his life into his own hands and ripped it to shreds and ripped his entire family to shreds? What I will say about women, and this is a study, and I wish I could tell you where the study is to give it credit, but they have said that a lot of women are holding on just because they have kids. It's the only reason why they're hanging out is they have kids. That's what gets them out of bed. Out of massive depression, they get out of bed because they've got to take care of their babies. Okay? And others don't. They just can't. And that's not a judgment. It's just reality. All right, let me see. What am I missing here? Anything else? So if you want to join the Esoteric Book Club, I hated school with a passion. Well, because it's all bullshit. It's always the thought I'm not enough. Exactly. And school does that with testing, and more testing. It's a joke. It's a fucking joke. Okay? Most of the population is acting extremely narcissistic. I'm with you on that. Well, I mean, look, it started, I can tell you when it started. They feel stuck. Exactly, Mary. Of course they feel stuck. They feel stuck because they are stuck. Let's be honest. You can't test kids to the end of life. There was an interview I saw recently on TikTok, by the way, of a Finnish kid who had come here to America. You know how they do these exchange program with kids? And I think he did it for a 3-month stay, whatever. And he said of our education, he said, I am so fucking relieved to leave, to go back home to school. And the guy said, interviewing him, said, why? He goes, well, because there's multiple fucking questions. Multiple questions. He said, well, isn't that easy? And I think there was another Finnish teacher, a part of that interviewing group. And he said, isn't that easier to have multiple questions, multiple answers? Is it A, B, C, D, or all of the above, right? And he said, no. And the interviewer was somewhat perplexed, I guess. Or maybe he was playing dumb for, as a devil's advocate. I'm not sure. But anyway, he said, so tell me, why? And he said, because we don't have that. Well, how do you test? Well, we ask them the question and they write the answers. Yeah, it's called essay. Here's the question. Do you believe in reincarnation? Right? Is reincarnation possible? And the answer is A, yes, B, no, or C, undecided. Right? In European training, right, education, you would write a whole essay about why you believe in reincarnation. If it was well argued, you'd get an A. If the grammar was off, you'd probably get an A for, the content of the thought. Grammar would get you maybe a C. You know what I'm saying? And it would balance out to a B for the final paper. Does that make sense? So you have to actually think. You have to formulate your words. You actually have to have literacy. You have to comprehend what you read. That means then, if you can comprehend what you read, that means that you can articulate what you've read in an essay as to why this is a good book and why this is not a good book, for example. So the child or teenager or adult going to university writes a fucking paper with indexes as to why, to support their case, and in some cases, not even. And the professor will look at the paper and go, oh yeah, I never even thought of that. Wow. And they'll have little marks on the side going, great sentence, and incredible feedback like that. Okay? Great points. You should have rewritten that. I'm not sure about that. In a red pen or green pen, whatever. And my point to you is that is where we're losing as thinkers, originators of thought. And so the Esoteric Book Club is going to be talking about many, many nuanced ideas, reading a basic, what I would call, esoteric books that most people, you guys call it self-help, I call it esoteric. And I'm excited to have you join us. So if you're a man, you're more than welcome. Trust me. We want men's voices. We really, we're desperate for the masculine voice, and we're not getting it. We're just not getting it. So if you want to join, it's on my Linktree, on my profile page. Hit me up. We're all good. And that's if you want to heal. I believe in reincarnation. No, but it wasn't a question. It was just but I understand. We all do. That's why this book is the first book we're going to read, because it's about reincarnation. It's about forgiving the unforgivable. It's about how past life still reverberates, even 3,500 years ago. Why this life and not another. You guys, many of you know I do Akashic readings and putting these incredible past life memories back into some kind of context that can be read, because when I do my Akashic readings, I'm blown away, fucking blown away. What we were told in the New Age movement is completely been in my book, for me, massive implosion. That's why I don't believe in the New Age movement at all, because I know who actually originated it for one, and why. I believe in the new term ancient wisdom, which I've coined, but I think other people have coined it, because it's a 100 monkey theory, to be honest. So we're all banging the same drum. We may never meet. We may never have had discussions, but we're all moving away from New Age into ancient wisdom, meaning there's nothing new about it. It's ancient, and we're actually all remembering who we are, where we came from, and why we're here, which is the question of the ages. for our own ascension. So it's exciting. And so many more people are actually wanting to remember or remember. Does that make sense? So it's really, really exciting. So again, the Esoteric Book Club is, you would have to go to the Telegram on my link tree to join. And it's called Starseed's Awakening. Let me know when you join the Telegram group that you want to join the Esoteric Book Club, and I'll add you to it. You're welcome. The first book is Recall. The second book, I don't know. We're going to vote on it. I'll present 3 books. We'll vote on it. If you guys aren't quick enough, I'll give you like 24 hours to vote on it. If you guys, then I'll decide the book. I'm not joking. I want to move it forward. I want us to get into the next book as soon as possible. And like this book is 303 pages. I'm hoping 3 chapters per week. And then once we're done with this one, we go on to the next one. Some of them, you could actually do six chapters per week. I'm not kidding, because some of them are, each chapter is like 3 pages, right? Like Mind Power into the 21st Century, or the Gnostic Gospels, and I'm repeating the same titles again and again because I'm kicking around those ideas. If you guys wanted to read anything on Mary Magdalena and the ancient cult of Isis, there is a book that is very scholarly, but I think it's worth the effort, is by Margarita Rigliosi, who is a PhD scholar, and she is absolutely fucking brilliant and is not getting the notoriety at all because, like most artists and writers, she probably doesn't have the bandwidth to self-promote to that level, to be honest, okay, at all. And I honestly didn't either until I decided to do the book club. I love your energy today, Tony. Yeah, it's a lot better. I don't know where it's coming from. I wasn't going to do any lives for a while because I needed to rest, but thank you for saying that. Okay, what are they doing now? Okay, so my life will. Well, I don't know if you guys can hear me, but the live will end in 4 minutes. I don't know why they're doing that. Oh, here's a little puzzle that they want me to do. Okay, we're back. Oh my God. I maybe it's because people do lives and do their dishes and go vacuum the room and put it on mute, I guess. And they'll leave the live going for like fucking hours. Thank you. I'm glad you told me you can hear me. But anyway, thank you for liking the live and keeping it active. But any questions or comments, anything at all? They're telling me to read from the book. If you want me to, I can read a little, I can read an excerpt if you want. If not, we're good. You know what? No, I'm going to read to you the poem on the back of Recall. I'm going to read you this poem. This is a poem. There are 2 things that I did when my twin and I were in separation. In 2006, I had an image of him. I've talked about it many times, so I'm not going to bore you. But there were 2 things I did. I did a copper plate etching called The Kiss, Le Baiser. It's called The Kiss. And I might share it with our esoteric group, book club, actually, for you guys, because it was based on my first kiss with my twin. The second thing I did is I wrote a poem called You. So I'm going to read to you from the book, Recall, You, by Tony Barca. You have brought back let's start again. You have brought your face back from the million lifetimes you have breathed, like a fine-crafted sword wrought from the fire, forged into what you are today. I see it in the square of your jaw, the proud tilt of your head. I see the memories and the fire within your eyes. You walk with purpose. Power trails like the ancient cloaks you wore as a Roman, a Celt, an African. There is charisma here, but such alchemy was mixed with blood, born time after time after time. If I could but graze my fingertip across your lips, would you speak in ancient tongues, dead languages studied now by only the most elite scholars? Would my longing to recall flood us in melancholy, or would we laugh together at the absurdity of it all? I wonder. I have so many homes, none are permanent, and yet all are dear to me. When do we know to what purpose we walk to? What makes us wake and part the veils of the subconscious truth? Do you know where your destiny lies? Or is this life a place of rest? Is this a life to be lived with simplicity? The love of a woman, the birth of children, and the death of the body, and then to go on again. I remember. I remembered you when I first saw you. The air cracked between us. We were uncomfortable and circled each other like dogs, and then we spoke and understood the core of each other's hearts. And then all eased. So what now? So that was the poem I wrote to him. And when we first communicated in 2000, it was 2008. That was the poem I sent him with so on the back was my letter saying, "Do you remember me?" And on the other back, it flipped, was this poem. And he knew immediately it was about him. I didn't say, "This is about you." He knew. So the book, Recall, is the first book. If you want to join the Esoteric Book Club, hit me up. You know what to do. Linktree, scroll down, go to the Starseed's Awakening at the whatchamacallit. My dog is calling me, so I have to go in a minute. So you'll see Starseed's Awakening in Telegram. Join that. Let me know you want to be part of the Esoteric Book Club, and you will be added. Okay? All right, my loves. Thank you. Sending you much love on your journey. We'll talk again soon. Namaste. Be well.